Hello and welcome everyone to this demo session on ABAP on HANA come S4HANA technical training with me Anubhav on anubhavtrainings.com. In this demo session, we will look at the introduction of SAP HANA, how ABAP is meeting SAP HANA, and we will also look at a very small demo on how to create an application on an ABAP on HANA or an S4HANA system. Please note that this is just a demo session. To give you an overview of this course, the complete course is available on anubhavtrainings.com. So what is that we will be covering in this course? We will look at in this demo session. Along with that, who all can join this course and take an advantage in their career with ABAP on HANA learnings. So let's get started. Who are all this course for? As you can see here, this course is designed for ABAP consultants, BW consultants, Scrum leads, and anyone who want to aspire their technical learning in SAP space. This course is suitable for all of them. These different user personas would also help you to understand what is that the responsibility of an ABAP, BW, or Scrum lead would be when they learn SAP ABAP on HANA. As you can see, first, ABAP consultants. The very important fundamental change which will happen the way we program with the classical ECC and with S4HANA architecture is we need to embrace the change in the technology when it comes to designing applications which can run much faster on SAP HANA DBA. We would also learn how can we adapt to the custom code which is going to get migrated to SAP S4HANA systems. Then when it comes to BW consultants, you will learn how to develop this new rich data model called CDS views for your analytical requirement and expose this data to the intelligent tools like OLAP tools. As a Scrum lead, you would want it to understand the technology to estimate better for tomorrow. And of course, as any SAP technical consultant, you would also be interested to build amazing Fiori application using CDS views and exploit HANAs to its computational powers. So there you go, you see all the personas. Of course, there are much more broad use cases which we will be discussing throughout this course, including latest frameworks, technologies, tools, as well as the tuning and improvement techniques. So there is something for you definitely in this course. So let's go ahead and look at what is SAP HANA. So what is SAP HANA? Why it is getting so relevant and important in today's world? So when it comes to SAP HANA is SAP's in-memory database. Almost all new SAP solutions are now using SAP HANA as their primary database. You might have heard about BW on HANA or Suite on HANA or S4HANA. All of these solutions are built on top of this new in-memory database. What is the benefit you get in this in-memory database as compared to the traditional databases? So your traditional databases stores all the data in hard disk drive, and in order to fetch this data for computation to CPU, we have an overhead as data moves from hard disk drive to RAM, from the RAM to the CPU registers where actual calculation takes place. So the real bottleneck is to fetch this data from this hard disk drive to the RAM is also cause a performance lag when it comes to processing and utilizing the computational power. What happened over a period of time in last couple of decades? The memory prices have come down significantly And this allowed software vendors like SAP to develop more powerful database engines like HANA. HANA is also known as a hybrid database because the main advantage is you don't have to do both analytical and transactional processing in two different databases. Rather, HANA can do all of it together. So these are some of the key features which HANA offers you. Now, when it comes to SAP HANA, there is much more, which we'll be discussing this in our next unit in our class. But more or less, if you understand, these are all some of the broad features which you could find when it comes to SAP HANA. It offers you to keep all the data in the memory. It's an innovation, both hardware and software innovation. It allows you to do massive parallel processing. We have concept of compression. All the data intensive operations are performed within database. We also have a concept of column store versus row store. And also it allows native platform capabilities supporting engines like XS. So all of this we will be discussing in our next unit more in detail, having a deep dive inside of SAP HANA. Now, let's have a look at what is ABAP on HANA then. So ABAP on HANA, when it comes to ABAP on HANA, as you see, typically in SAP world, we have this three-tier architecture where you have the presentation layer, nothing but your SAP GUI, your middleware layer, which is nothing but your application layer, where all the ABAP code is getting executed. And then you have, of course, your presentation layer, which is currently SAP GUI. And then finally, you have your database layer, which is a traditional DB, which is probably an RDBMS system. Now, this is where the major change is happening. What we are now seeing in industry is this traditional DB is getting replaced with something called SAP HANA, which is an in-memory database. And that's when your ABAP system is actually running on this SAP HANA DB, is calling it as ABAP on HANA. So ABAP on HANA is nothing but an ABAP system running on top of SAP HANA database. There are a lot of advantages. You will see it in our chapter 1, which we will discuss to get this benefit. Where is this great computational power comes from? We are going to discuss all of that. So in a nutshell, it's a simple thing to understand that an ABAP system running on HANA is ABAP on HANA. Now, what advantage or what changes it brings to us as a developer? If I'm a developer, what changes would it bring to me in my day-to-day work? So the main intention or the main change, fundamental change in the way you program will be that till today, whatever processing you were doing, you were fetching the data from database and you were loading all the data from the database to the application layer by doing probably a select star or single star. And then you were doing all the processing in the application layer. And this is where all your computation takes place. And then final result you send to the UI. So till today, this was our traditional programming agenda, which we used to use when it comes to dialog programming or reports, function modules, iDocs, whatsoever you create in SAP world. This is what we were doing. But now there is definitely a room for improvement and a room for change. What is now happening is, since HANA is a in-memory database, it can do massive parallel processing. What you try to do is you try to push down this logic which you have here to the database level. Now, when you do this computation at the database level, HANA can do it much, much faster because it does a lot of parallel processing. And this also adds up another advantage, as in, because what will happen, the result which you produce, you will only send the final result, which is very small as compared to last time. You were sending all the data first and then computing in the app layer, rather than now you compute within DB layer and only the final tiny result is what you produce sends to the application layer, which means more and more processing logic now needs to be pushed down into the database. And this concept in the world of HANA is called code to data paradigm. So in interview, if somebody asks you what is code to data paradigm, it's nothing but majority of the operations or the logic which was earlier being done in the application layer is now being pushed down deep into the database, which is essentially in HANA DB. As a result, you get better performance and also less network load between these two layers to achieve that really things which kind of something missing in today's architecture. So that's one thing. But then when it boils down to the feature level, what is that SAP provides me today to be able to achieve this core to data paradigm? So throughout this course, we're going to learn some of the core concepts of achieving core to data paradigm. And that is what will be our goal for this entire course. So let's have a look at what are all some of the core features which we are going to learn throughout this course. So we will, of course, start with introduction of SAP HANA. As I understand, many of you have never come across SAP HANA or never worked with it. Don't worry. We will have zero prerequisite for you to attend this course. I'm going to cover SAP HANA as part of this training. So you don't need to have any HANA knowledge in prior. Then we will look at how ABAP meets HANA, basically the schema concept and also the role concept related to the SAP ABAP meeting HANA. Then we will also understand how do you develop HANA native artifacts, including views and SQL script, and consume these artifacts in ABAP layer pretty easily with the different techniques like proxies as well as the concepts of ADBC. And then we will look at new ABAP syntax and performance tuning. How could you see where is the room for improving the performance? All of this we will be discussing when it comes to new ABAP syntax and performance tuning. The next we will learn about CDS views and AMDP. So we have concepts of CDS views, which is very powerful, so-called semantically rich data model. So most of your today's modern S4HANA applications are based on CDS, including the VDM, virtual data modeling concept. We're going to cover that more in detail. And then we'll discuss also these latest frameworks, including ALV for IDA, integrated data access with ALV and fuzzy search. Now, the main highlight of this course will be, we will be learning all of these along with real-time POCs. We're going to build 5 end-to-end POCs throughout this course, so you get a better hands-on on this training. And also we will have a promise of no copy paste. Usually most of the trainers you see, they do teach in a way of doing copy paste. They just copy a code from somewhere, paste it and show you the output, and then they say training is done. That's not how we do things. We do things in a different way. We write every single line of code explaining the meaning of that and also encourage you to do so that you can understand the depth of the technology. Also, this training is designed as per the certification. We will also guide you throughout the process, as well as how to apply for certification and what will be the entire process of going through the ABAP on HANA certification. So let's look at quickly the breakdown of topics in terms of certification here. So the certification code is HANA AW16, which is the latest certification code for ABAP on HANA. And as you can see here, the broad topics in terms of course breakup, we have guided performance analysis, so-called SQLM and SQL performance worklist monitor. Then we have new ABAP syntax and ABAP programming with the integration of SAP HANA. We will have concepts of ABAP on HANA and the implications on your programming. We will learn about HANA basic concepts, including modeling and views and SQL scripting. Then we will learn about how to build these different types of procedures, views, and containers in SAP HANA and consume them in the ABAP layer along with ADBC and proxies. We will learn the required tooling and also help you to install the required tools required to learn ABAP on HANA in your own system. And then we will learn these new artifacts like CDS views, AMDPs, and how can you improve the performance. Not just that, learn the new user experience SAP Fiori based apps on top of SAP ABAP on HANA. So that is all how our course is also designed and aligned with the certification guidance. So what we have today for the demo for you, so we will start with building a very simple example. I'll show you your first CDS in SAP ABAP on HANA. Basically, we have an S4HANA system. The architecture is also an ABAP on HANA system for that. So what is a CDS? To begin with the introduction, a CDS or a core data service view is enhancement of OpenSQL. in an ABAP on HANA system. And CDS views are also known as semantically rich data model. We have a very big dedicated unit. In fact, multiple units is spread across only on this CDS view concept. So that's something which will start with our chapter 11. So you need to wait till that. Since it's just a demo session, wanted to take one simple flow and explain you how the new world will look like. So please consider this as only a demo. More detail, these topics are covered in each of the unit or set of units where we will learn these things. So what I have as a use case today, I have my sales data stored in my SAP system for my business partner. So I have business partners with whom I'm doing business, and the sales which these business partners are giving me is stored in my S4HANA system. Now, I have been given a task recently by my manager to develop an application which shows the total sales provided by each of the business partner in an app. Now, what is that? The key requirements here in this use case is allowing users to search sales data based on company name. It should also allow displaying of sales order data in a table with personalization. And then finally, moving away from the classical GUI and building a Fiori-based UI. So all of this we're going to achieve step by step through creating a CDS, and then on top an OData service, and finally we will be creating a Fiori user interface with the required tools. Please note, this is a demo. I'm not going to show today in this demo how to set up these tools. Of course, this is a detailed topic. We have two very powerful tools which are, or in fact, three tools which we'll be covering throughout this course includes HANA Studio, ABAP development tool for Eclipse, and SAP Web IDE. All three installations of this tool will be part of the course in the chapter number 3, chapter number 7, and chapter number 12 respectively. So let's go ahead now. We will just quickly go back to our system. So I have got here my environment for development. So you can see it's more or less an environment like SE80, where on the left side you will see all your artifacts. So you can see all your DDC objects, programs, function modules, includes everything on the left side. And on the right side area here, you would see that's my main playground or my core area where I'm going to write all the code. So this is my setup as of now. How did I get this tool? We're going to cover this in Unit 3, where we will learn how to install the tool free in your system and consume this tool to be able to connect to your existing S4 system. Now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and create a new object. So I'm going to say, I would like to create a new core data service. So I say new, and I'm going to come and search for core data service. So don't worry, what is a core data service? We will cover this more in detail, including basics, is starting our unit 12. So I'm going to create right now a Z July CDS 2020 demo session on ABAP on HANA. Let's click on next. And at this moment, if I choose a productive package other than my $TMP, I can also add a package name and transport this artifact to my quality and production system. For now, I skip this because I'm using my $temp local object, and let me define a new view. So here we have set of templates to choose from to create my CDS view. I'll click on finish. And now we will be choosing here the name of our CDS view. So let's say finish. So the very first thing which we need to do is we need to choose a view name or called SQL view name, which will be generated when I activate this CDS view. So I'm going to give a name. So Z July demo. And now we will choose here our database table. Now you must be wondering, what are all these things called @ Guys, these are called annotations, also known as semantically rich data model. So this topic we will cover more in detail and understand the meaning of each annotations, how does it behave, and what impact does it bring when you activate a view. So right now, let's proceed with what we have already written or auto-generated. And now I'm going to choose a database table called SNWD sales order. This is the table where I have my sales order data. Let's give an alias sales. And now what I'm going to do is create a join of the sales data. So inner join SNWD BPA. This is my business partner table as business partner on. And we're going to write a join condition. And so here I have a buyer GUID which joins with business partner node key. So how did I got this table from? What is the right table structure? How these tables are interrelated? We're going to cover this in our unit 5, where I will show you EPM data model. And I'm just going to create now the fields which I really want to display to the user. So what I want to display is show the business partner ID from my business partner table as company ID. Then I am going to choose company name. Let's choose also the gross amount. Now, good thing is, guys, CDS views are not case sensitive, which means whether you write something in caps or small doesn't matter. So then we have currency code. You also have a nice code completion here, which you can choose from. So as of now, this is my data which is coming and is spread across 2 tables. Using the join, I'm just trying to get hold of this data from the system. I'm going to just save this up. And now you also have a nice check button here to do a quick syntax check, just in case there is no syntax error. I do the check, and now we will quickly activate. Now, before I activate, you need to understand that this data we are not going to consume in a classical GUI application. Rather, we're going to consume this data in a Fiori application. Fiori is SAP's new UI experience. Now, guys, you don't need to learn SAP Fiori as part of this course. You just need to have basic idea of what an OData service, and I will also cover a complimentary session on OData service as part of this course. So those who are hearing OData for the first time, don't worry. We'll cover a complimentary session on OData. For now, what I'm going to do is I will just create a new OData service on top. So OData publish equals to true. Just save this up. And let us activate this CDS view. All right, done. So what exactly is happening in this new 3-tier architecture is your presentation layer is actually a Fiori app. And this Fiori app runs in a browser. Now, when it runs in a browser, it cannot fire a select query like you can do with a GUI-based application. So this browser-based application can talk to this ABAP server only through a service. And that service is what we are calling here an OData service. So that's why we are developing OData service over here. And that's the service which is going to call your browser, your ABAP server from the browser. All right. So just get this in the front. Yeah, looks better. So this is the link I'm going to establish. I'm going to create a service which is exposed to Fiori app. So that's what I'm doing here. Now, once this part is done, we will also probably should mark it as a key, just in case. And this is my key. Maybe I'm going to also can use order ID as my key if I wish to. So better is I would use order ID as my key. So I'm going to come here and say my key for the records will be order ID. So just say sales dot node key as order ID. Save this up. And now we are good to go. Let's activate our CDS one more time. You can also test the data which is going to come out of the CDS right away. Just press F8. And now you would see that I've got also my sales data popping up on my screen over here. I can do a variety of filtering, like I can add and check if particular data is available or not. So I say, get me all the data for Techum. And there you go. all the sales orders for the Techum is visible to us. Cool. So now it's time that we go ahead and register this service. So just hover over this small icon and copy this CDS based OData service, which is auto-generated. And now to register this, I need to switch over to SAP GUI. So you can just press Ctrl 6, open, and you would be able to create an OData service, basically a register an OData service over here in GUI. So you see there's a nice integration with this tool along with SAP GUI. So I switch over to a transaction called /IWFND/main service. And we're going to add a service over here. And we're going to just activate our service. Again, this one also in local object. And finally, we can test our service in the browser. So I'm just activated this. It's a one-time activity. This will create an ICF node for our service. All of this we will be covering in chapter number 11, more in details, what a service means and how do we get this benefit of this service. Now, what I'm going to do is go back and over here to the outline view of the CDS view. And you see here something called OData exposure. Let's right click and just click on run this. I'm just going to open this service and this will launch my browser over here. So you can see it's launching my browser. I will pass my ABAP credentials and as a result, I should be able to see my service is up and running. Now I have got an entity set over here with the same name as my CDS view and I can just go back and hit this endpoint to read all the data. So let's see this data over here. And you would see all the data which I was just was seeing in the ABAP development tool on Eclipse. I would see the same data exposed over the internet through the medium of a service. So now I see all the sales order data is exposed over the internet as a service. Yeah, this is all the data, which means now I can go ahead and create an application on top of this data, which is actually a web-based Fiori application. So to understand and create these basic Fiori apps, you really don't need to know anything in Fiori. You can just install the development tool, which I will also guide you through how to get the right development tool for Fiori app application development. And you simply can develop also your first report like Fiori app without any much of technical knowledge on Fiori. So I will switch over to my development tool now, which is so-called Web IDE. And here is where I'm going to quickly create an application. So let me right click on New, Project from Template, and we can choose here the type of applications to create. And I would go with the list report application. This is similar to your reports which you create in ABAP system. Now it's just that we're creating a Fiori application which is going to run in a browser and mobile devices. Click on Next. Let's give a project name. So I'm going to say Z June July 2020 and say anubhavtrainings.com. And I'm just going to say anubhav.demo. Let's say anubhavtrainings.com app. Click on Next. And now this is the time we connect to our system and consume this service which I just created. So we can come back and I've already established a connectivity to my system. I'm going to show you this in chapter number 9, how to establish this connectivity. And once this is done, it's asking now my ABAP credentials. So let me just quickly go ahead and enter my ABAP system credentials over here. And once I enter that, I click on sign in. And wow, there you go. You can see all the available services in my system are visible to me over here. Let's switch it over and enter our recently created CDS view-based service. We're going to pick this up, click on the service, and once this is selected, we can say next. And now it's time to just select this concept called annotation. I'm going to just choose that, say next, and let's choose our CDS view name. That's all. And finish. Congratulations. Within just about 30 minutes or so, you have created an CDS. You have exposed the data out of your S4 system through an OData service. And then you are also able to create a brand new report application, which is capable of getting executed in any device, anytime, anywhere, on any platform. So that's your Fiori app. You're going to just go ahead and execute this. And watch out, what do we get out here? So here, when this application is, when you're testing this application, you would see that this app will be running in the browser. And I can just click on next. And you will be seeing soon the app will load for my testing. So of course, we are also going to cover the end-to-end life cycle of an application, starting from development to deployment to integrating it with something called Fiori Launchpad. All of this I will be covering more in detail when we go to the chapter. And now what you see is an empty screen. So right now I don't see any search filter or any kind of columns in my table. That's fine. I'm going to just go and select my filter as my company name. And I will also go and select my columns in the right order I want. And I say, okay. So I've got my company, gross amount and currency code column, and I've got also my company name as a filter. So that was exactly the requirement from the functional side to be able to develop a report like this. Let's click on go. And now it's going ahead and fetching all the data. And wow, you can see system has got me all my orders. But the requirement was to show the total volume of all the orders per company, right? That was more or less the requirement was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and just add a little bit of annotation over here called default aggregation equals to sum. And we are also going to just activate this, our CDS view, and watch out the implication of that. So I can come back and reload our application over here. And then we will be again going ahead and pressing save, search for the go button. So once again, I have to just quickly go back and choose our fields, company, and also the columns, as I need company name, gross amount, and currency code. And let's click on go button. And now, wow, what you see here, my result is changing differently. It's bringing now me the total sales per company. So as you can see here, I have got each company listed only once, and it's showing me here the total sales given by that particular company. So that's the beauty of these annotations. There are a lot of annotations which you are going to learn as part of this course and give effect to your Fiori applications accordingly when it comes to the S4HANA or ABAP on HANA. We are also going to learn the best practices, how to build the right way the CDS views. It's also known as VDM or virtual data modeling. Now I can also go back and search here, for example, Avanto as a company and search, and that shows me the total sales only by Avanto. So that was my report as per the requirements. If you just come back and relook at the requirement, allowing end user to search the data based on company name, allowing total sales with the personalization. So you have a personalization button where you can do different sorting, filtering, grouping of data set. And then you also have moving away from the GUI classical screen to a Fiori based UI. The benefit of this UI, let me show you. I'm going to go back to my browser, and over here in my browser, I'm going to switch over to this device toolbar to see how this app would look like if I run it in a kind of an iPhone or in an iPad. So let me just go ahead and add an iPhone here. And you see, this is how our app is going to auto adapt in an iPhone. So that's a great advantage you get when it comes to this new Fiori user experience. So if I just quickly remove this and say go, You can see my values are being displayed in a more effective way. You can also switch over to the landscape mode. You can switch over to the tablet, how it's going to look like. So this is how you can experience your Fiori application in different devices right here on your browser, and experience and see how would the user will see the application. So you can see in the tablet landscape mode, system is going to show you the data, something of this kind. So all of these benefits you get when it comes to new Fiori user experience. So there are a lot of topics in our course about building these kind of different POCs and dashboard, including also we have end-to-end POCs with analytical application built on CDS view throughout our course, which is going to be covered in chapter number 17 and 18 more in details. We also have concepts of hierarchies and CDS data security. Of course, for that, you need to subscribe my course more in detail. So it's time for some of the frequently asked questions from your side. Do I need to have any prior knowledge for SAP HANA? Answer is no. We do not expect you to know any knowledge on SAP HANA to learn this course. This course is designed for anybody who is a beginner or who has no clue about what HANA is. Don't worry, we will be covering SAP HANA in chapter 1, 2, and 3 at the beginning. Then how much of ABAP knowledge is required to learn ABAP on HANA? As I'm probably from BW background, don't worry. You just need basic concepts of ABAP. If you know data dictionary, internal table, basic syntax, and function module, that's enough to learn ABAP on HANA. You don't need to have any extensive knowledge on the concepts like dialogue programming, stuff like that. That too, only that knowledge is helpful in the first 30% of the course. Remaining 70% of the topics are almost new, which are even new for even ABAP developers. Then it comes to, I'm from BW or BI consultant. Can I learn ABAP on HANA? Why not? Definitely you can. You must learn because all the S4HANA embedded analytics are built on CDS views these days. So ABAP on HANA is a very important learning. You should have it in your career for sure to be able to leap over to this new solution or new paradigm. How much deep knowledge of OOPS ABAP is required? So only basics is required, that too again 30%, because we will be just using some of the basic concepts of class interface and objects. Don't need to have any knowledge on design patterns or complicated OOPS, not required at all. What about server access? So of course, you should try to target to use your own company server. We will show you what can you look forward in your company server so that you can utilize your own company server. But just in case, you don't have a company server, you don't have a data in that, don't worry, we can arrange you the server access required to learn this course end-to-end, including the data sets, which is helpful to achieve all the POCs. Now, which are all the versions of SAP HANA and S4HANA you'll be using in the course? I'll be using latest 1909 SPS2, on-premise SAP S4HANA, and HANA 2.0 support pack 3 with ABA layer we will be using in this course. How is this course time spent on CDS? How much percent of CDS is part of the course? So around 40% of our time, quality time, we will be spending on CDS. There are about 6 to 7 back-to-back sessions only on the topic of CDS, annotations, OData, VDM, security, BOPF integration, all of these topics, hierarchies, Fiori integration, building different dashboards, analytic and transactional apps using CDS. We will be spending considerable amount of time, and these topics are as new as for any ABAP developer. Do I need any prior knowledge on OData? Answer is no. We will provide you one complimentary session on OData service with which you will be able to cope up to the knowledge required to develop skill set on OData service. Can I also take this course in video mode as timing doesn't suit me? Yes, definitely. You can take all my courses in video mode, wherein you can start with videos, learn through the videos, and then come back with your doubts over the email. Or even after the class, you attend a live course, as many classes you can attend. And anyway, after the class, you're going to get video of this class, which we are recording. So you can just also watch through the video in case if you miss any session. What tools do we need to use to practice this course? So Primarily, we will be working on ADT, ABAP development tool on Eclipse. Don't worry, I'm going to cover how to set up ABAP development tool on Eclipse in the next class for you. So this will be part of the course. So with that, thank you so much for watching this demo session today with me, Anubhav. If you are willing to enroll for this course, feel free to watch us on anubhavtrainings.com or please write an email to us on contact@anubhavtrainings.com. With that, once again, thank you so much, and I will sign out and see you in the next session. Thank you and goodbye.